vendors and partners.
Design Review Committee, June 8, 2023.
Do you want me to pretend I'm Quinn today? Yes. Okay. Well, welcome to the Provo Design Review Committee. We'll quickly introduce ourselves and mention whether or not we have any conflicts. I'm James Hall, and I have no conflicts.
Megan Geilman, no conflicts.
Bruce Fallon, no conflicts.
And do we have something I need to read before we kick off? Okay, item number 1, Matt Brown requests design review approval for 6 new townhomes in the LDR zone located at 193 West, 4800 North, River Bottoms neighborhood. Yeah, so if you could just provide us some context on the project and
sure.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So I'm Nancy Robison. I'm a new planner, so I haven't been here before you guys yet. So if I do anything wrong, just let me know. So yeah, we've got some slides for the project that's being planned. It's Jocelyn Court Townhomes. Like you said, it's at 193 West, 4800 North. Do I just, oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the front view of the project. And then we just have side elevations. This is a front exterior and left, and we've got the right elevations and the exterior. And finally, the landscape plan. I think that's the only slides that I put in. Are there any questions that you have for me?
Is there a materials board?
Can I address that? Okay. So, I'll provide this. So I've never had to do that before. 30 years of. Can I approach that again? Hi, I'm being recorded. Thank you. I'll take one of those just for fun. So so I'm happy to do whatever you want me to do. I build a lot of great buildings in town here. Got some great examples of stuff I've done in American Fork. Orem, Saratoga Springs just finished a big project in Saratoga Springs across from Costco. And the architecture is a very big part of what I do, obviously. Very, very concerned about colors myself. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But as of late, not for several years, I have had to bring an actual physical board in because everything's done so electronically, especially through the COVID thing. So happy to provide that, no problem. These are the materials. We did a full color rendering of that, of actual photos of how this will look. These materials are, I believe, are very modern. I think the townhomes are already very modern architecture. We've got some great things. I'm planning on putting my children here, so I'm very vested in this. And I feel like this is a pretty appropriate way to tackle this with a full color rendering of actual not just drawn, but in actual photos of the materials. But if this doesn't suffice, let me know your thoughts on that.
I think we're okay. I'm not sure that it's actually a requirement to have the physical materials. Most projects do bring it, so it's helpful for us, but
And I haven't done it in so many years, so I apologize. I thought this would be sufficient, so hopefully so.
I mean,
Do you have any questions for me as the applicant on the design? I, of course, have my amazing friend and engineer here, Matt, but if I can answer anything while I'm up here, I'd be happy to.
could you go back to the exterior elevations? Go maybe one more if you would. Okay. Just allows us to look from an
Yeah.
architect's perspective. The pictures are okay,
Right.
but I also know that reproduction depends on the printer and all that. So
It does.
you
It
know,
does. We've tried very hard.
I'm a
to get-
touchy feely guy. Kind of
I am
person,
too.
right? So
I totally understand that feeling and be able to touch and feel it. You know, the materials we use, I mean, I want to do a really great job with it. I feel like bringing these earth tones in and then keeping a very light stucco, kind of brightening the building up. The, you know, the windows are high grade windows. Everything's going to be kind of a luxury feel to this building. So I certainly don't want to cheapen it. We thought about doing, and I almost did a full color rendering, but even that, I don't think when they do these computer modeling really does it justice, to be honest. I think having actual photos, and I understand too what you're saying, but I did check the way the photos came through. This is a very good representation of what you have in front of you, of what that will look like.
is there any covering at the door entryways? So as you're standing there,
I
jumbling with your keys, trying to get out of the rain. I don't know, just a practical question.
There is, it's small, but there is. It's maybe not as practical on a townhouse to have that sometimes because of how many ins and outs we're using. We're trying to create some depth to it all. There is a, you know, and we could provide that if that's something that I don't think it necessarily needs it with the right weatherproofing. You'd be okay.
where's the porcelain tile veneer showing up on these elevations?
So, and that's kind of an option that I had there actually. There's some paver porcelain tiles that you can use. There's a paver tile coming up to the front walk. I think would be kind of cool.
So it's not on the building.
No, it's the
just a
actual walkway.
horizontal.
Yes, correct.
Okay. How many units is this again?
It's 6 units. Yeah,
6 units.
right.
Okay.
They're good sized units, 4-bedroom.
Are these for sale or lease or?
Well, it's to be determined, to be honest with you. I was going to keep them all, but I like to be cautious, you know, in the economy the way that it is. I'll probably sell. I've got 3 kids that I'm going to help them have ownership. I'm the general contractor as well as the developer. So I'll build them and then pay down, you know, a good portion of it by selling probably 2 or 3 of the townhouse units. So
Nice.
but yeah, we'll have ownership and it'll be a family project. So I really want it to be something special.
Am I seeing a balcony on the,
Yes,
I guess there's on each level?
yes.
And what is the railing material?
So right now it's glass.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that look. It's not as practical, but I think it's cool.
Yeah, right.
You know, yeah.
What material is the band between the second and third level?
It's rock. That little tiny band at the top there.
Mhm. So it would be the same veneer.
Same
stone.
veneer. Yeah.
Who's your architect? I'm just curious.
So our architect, he's a designer that works with my architect that broke away. So the way we've approached this is Leighton Davis architect. You know them up in Salt Lake?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. One of his designers, architects that work with him. So
Gotcha.
I pulled him away. So to do this project for me, but yeah, great guy. Does a lot of commercial work for me. Mostly what I do is commercial. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the commercial buildings I've done, but
I think we may have, well, I know we did a TI project off topic here.
oh yeah, was it in American Fork? or-
Saratoga
Saratoga.
Springs. Is that what it
Saratoga.
was? Yeah, Saratoga.
Yeah, I'm just finishing those buildings there. Turned out great.
Revere Health
Oh yeah, yeah,
Orthopedic Clinic. there.
absolutely. On that 2-story building I built. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And tell me about the materials on the cornice up on top. Like, is it
that would-
two-tone or is
It's
it?
a 2-tone. I mean, right now we've got. I like the thicker fascia board, that kind of thing. That'll be. Right now, it's showing as an aluminum. I don't love aluminum, so I'd probably I might go to a drip cap over stucco coming up under that, and then stucco underneath that. So kind of a two-tone stucco coming up underneath that. So right now it's showing as aluminum, a dark bronze aluminum, which is represented here, but I might choose to stucco that piece just to get good continuity of the way it flows. I just don't love the look of overlapping fascia board with large pieces of aluminum. It's not a good look.
Well, and it has a tendency to warp.
It does. It ripples and it looks terrible. I hate it. So more than likely that'll be colored the same color with a drip cap represented here in that dark bronze with a stucco piece underneath that.
Is there a color rendering of the architectural drawing?
There's not.
No.
No. I was going to do a 3D color rendering, but even when I do those, I mean, it's okay. It's good to talk about, but the colors never line up with the actual color board. So that's why we took the pictures.
Yeah, I think my only personal critique is it feels a little patchworky. So you've got like around the doors on the ground level, you have the wood, and then also on the third level, but then below on the middle level where the window is, it's I believe it's stucco.
You got wood wraps there.
Yeah, it just feels like it's kind of like stucco box here, wood box here, stucco box here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but there is something to be said for that, just kind of introducing, because there's depth in all this. It kind of pops in and pops back out. And I'm open to ideas. I mean, I liked it because it does kind of add these flavors to it. It seems to flow for me because if you look at the way the stucco corners actually meet up from the top to the middle. And that siding is that darker siding, which I like because it's that nice wood feel to it. So these are just light touches of stucco that kind of blend those darker elements in. So.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I think formally it seems to work pretty well. You know, I think I've gone to this meeting as on your side.
Yeah, been there.
And you always sometimes you get the comment of being careful about having too many materials.
Sure.
Right. And so I think you can use this many materials appropriately. I think if you look at historic architecture, you tend to see, you know, a limited palette of materials.
Yeah.
And that helps keep a building look timeless.
Mm-hmm.
And so thinking about how you can use materials in a way that's not so stripy is how I would call it, because you've got the base of the stone and then the middle section of the wood and then the top section. You know, again, these are all personal approaches that are going to be different if you were designing it or you were designing it or I was designing it. So, you know, I don't know if you take the wood all the way up. I know the lap siding does cost more than stucco, so I know there's a cost implication of that. On the third level, the balconies there, you have a kind of a column on the right side, but nothing on the other side. It'd be nice if that were a actual opening rather than a L-shaped component. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's that overhang there that we're picking up, and that's the reason for it.
But I mean, so on the right-hand side, looking at unit 300, it looks like on the, you have the column with the stone base. It'd be nice if it were repeated on the other side of that opening.
I thought about doing that. In fact, it was an option and I took it out because it takes too much visibility away. The deck's small as it is.
Sure.
So you're taking a big element out
Makes
of that
sense.
corner. I am okay with the idea though, of taking the siding and bringing it all the way up through that. I just thought it was kind of nice with that lighter element of the stucco since it is quite light.
Yeah.
You know, to sort of break that up.
And then the only other comment, what is the dimensional difference from the center, kind of the more prominent element and the balcony face?
Yeah, it's just a few feet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to give it depth so it's not all flat and ugly. We're trying to create, you know, individuality in each one of these units, you know, townhouses sometimes. And I see a lot of builders do this where they get cheap because every corner costs more money. So they get cheap, they want a flat wall, everything. So I thought by creating these elements, it would be better and nice, especially where this is located right on the river.
Yeah, I'm just, my thought process is, you know, we look at these as a flat elevation as if we're up 3 stories in the air, which isn't always the case, right?
Yeah,
So you're looking at it in the relationship from the taller parapet to the adjacent lower one.
mhm.
You know, I'm looking at it from a constructability perspective too, in terms of how do you flash between the two? How do those two things transition? And so I would have a tendency to want to raise the taller one, maybe a little bit
A little bit
by a
taller.
foot. Again, just kind of gives you a visual transition as well as a functional
Right.
transition.
It's like from the parapet wall down to the little pieces in the middle there.
Yeah.
Well, and I looked at that too. I wanted to keep screening, you know, as an option for me, obviously with equipment on there. So we have a small parapet above. So keeping that where it is, and flashing hasn't been a problem for me. I've done this on commercial buildings where we take that, the roofing material all the way up the wall, actually on the other side.
Yeah.
And so everything kind of is.
I'm actually talking about so if you go up to that top, it's high, then drops down and then pops up. The transition from the lower one to the upper one,
Yes.
where that parapet wall meets the other adjacent parapet wall.
Right.
That's, and I know you'll have a cap flashing and then and how that all transitions, and I'm sure you'll take care of that, but
Oh, yeah.
visually, when you see it from the ground level and look up, you won't really see much of a difference,
No,
right? Because
probably not
because you're
from
only
that perspective.
you're only a foot, you know, from the top
True.
of the one to the other. So that would be my one recommendation. I
Right.
think.
Would you rather see it all kind of, you know, the same parapet top or?
I think I like the variation of it.
Yeah, I do too.
And so I would just want to make it a little bit taller.
So
Just-
push the
Well,
taller part up.
Yeah.
The only problem that I had with going taller is we've already had a pushback from the city on our height. We had to come and actually knock our interior walls from 10 feet down to 9 on every level, which was sad for me to do. So to be able to create a taller parapet, I'm not sure how to do that, to be honest. So I've kind of done the best that I can with that.
It certainly is a consideration that I didn't know. So
Yeah, no, I know. And it's a bummer because we've got buildings right next to us that are 50 feet in the air. And so, but because of the zone we're in, we were stuck with this.
So you're right at the limit.
We're right at the limit. We're pushing every inch we got, you know, unfortunately. So I wanted the depth and just that little change so it didn't just look flat. And so, yeah, I mean, it'll be a little more challenging. It's not hard, but we can, obviously the caps and the ceiling and everything we've got to do and the way we're going to do it will still work out well. I just wanted to create more depth.
Sure. Can you drop the lower section without too much impact? I'm not sure how much of it's.
I just
a
hate to drop a
parapet.
parapet any lower than I have to because there's so much involved with that. And you just get a better roof by having a little taller parapet, a little better screening for any materials that are on top, any roof units, you know what I mean? So I agree it would be better having, you know.
just a little bit more.
Yeah,
What's your
so-
floor to floor?
I believe it's 33 from bottom to top to the very top point. I think, or maybe it was 30 now. I think we had it at 35. We had to be at 30. We had to lose 5 feet. So our parapet.
I just can't read it on the screen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we've been trying to jump through whatever hoops we can to get to the finish line, but without losing integrity on it.
Okay, so some of the things we've discussed are the difference in the parapet heights, which
It sounds like we're limited based on the code zoning.
Yeah, unfortunately.
and then more continuous material. I do like your suggestion of the wood all the way up to center volumes. And I'd be fine if the wood dropped from the 3rd floor balcony area, just to kind of offset the cost of increasing the wood in the other space, just to make it a little more cohesive.
Yeah.
Shall we make that as a recommendation,
Sure.
not a requirement?
Yeah.
Anything else we want to?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Do we want to recommend any overhangs for the doors mentioned earlier?
Not necessarily, just a question.
Okay, so I motion that we approve with a recommendation to consider consolidating the materials, increasing the wood on the 3rd floor of the larger volumes, and maybe reducing the wood in the 3rd floor balcony area and letting that be stucco. Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And I think that's it. So, yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I guess we didn't ask for public comment. There was one public comment entered, but it was out of scope for the design review committee. I was around hoping that they sell these rather than rent them.
Two or three for sure.
Yeah, that's not our purview as the
Haven't
design
called it
review
there.
committee anyway, so. Okay, yep, and we'll acknowledge there was no one else here for public comment today. Okay, and motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
See that?